Finding and working with and for good people can just be very transformational. We build AI agents, and today we're primarily focused in the fitness and franchise space.
If someone wanted to kind of follow your pathway, doing an MBA, moving to products, transitioning from reporting and finance is start of your career, any advice you would give?
I think not being afraid to move to other opportunities, knowing that we're going for something better.
Welcome to the new episode of Tech to Table Talks. Today we are joined by Murphy Tiggelaar, a product leader with a wealth of experience across multiple industries. Murphy started in finance and analytics before transitioning into tech, where she worked at Amazon and AWS, helping build enterprise-level products with a focus on API integrations and e-commerce. After that, she's joined SwiftKey, a platform focused on healthcare staffing, improving how organizations fill shifts and manage staff. Now, at AI Front Desk, Murphy is leading the development of autonomous AI agents that are revolutionizing customer service in the fitness and franchise industries. Murphy's journey also includes a career break that took her around the world, from Argentina to Turkey, proving that sometimes stepping back can propel you forward. I'm thrilled to dive into her experiences, insights on AI, and the lessons she learned navigating the ever-evolving world of tech. So with that, let's jump right in.
Hey Murphy, welcome to Tech to Table Talks. We're excited to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks for inviting me in. Excited to be here.
Where are you calling from today?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Amazing. I'm so excited to dive more about Austin. I've heard about the tech scene there and the startup scene, and I know it's in one of the top 5 cities in the US for startups, right?
Yeah, tons of startups.
Excited to dive more into that. But before we get started, could you maybe share a bit more about your background and all the amazing things you've done in your career today, and a bit about Murphy?
Sure. So I started my career in finance, actually. Worked in financial services, and I did reporting and analytics when I started my career. And then I moved to Austin in 2011. Or no, it wasn't 20. Nope, that's not right. I moved to Austin in 2015.
Nice.
I was like, when did I graduate college? Yeah, 2015, we moved to Austin. And I started at Dimensional Fund Advisors, which is a huge financial service mutual fund company. David Booth is the founder, and he's based here. And I moved from the reporting space into technology. That was really my first move from the non-finance world into technology. And then from there, I went to grad school at UT for technology commercialization because I really wanted to better understand how I could become a product manager. This was when, I think of it as project management was the thing to really get into, and then it became product management, and especially as technology started to advance a lot, and I was like, oh, I want to get into product management. And that's why I went to grad school. And Dimensional had a wonderful program where they paid for the majority of my grad school, which I will be forever grateful for. And after I finished grad school, I moved to Amazon, which is where you and I met.
Yep.
I first was in AWS Marketplace, and then I moved over to Merch, which is obviously where we met. And I was there for 2.5 years. On the AWS side, I worked a lot with APIs, building out enterprise level products, especially around procurement spaces, and then went over to Merch. And then I took some time off. So my husband and I, we took off, I think it ended up being 9-ish months.
Amazing.
We traveled. That was wonderful. Yeah. And then went back to work, went to ShiftKey. So ShiftKey does healthcare staffing. I was there for about a year. That's where I had my son, Archie. And then after that, I wanted a little bit more flexibility, and we can chat about this whole story. Moved to AI Front Desk. So there I am, the head of product.
Wow,
Yeah.
Incredible, Murphy. Where do we even start? There's a whole spectrum of amazing experience there, and from big techs, startups, and so many different types of experiences. Maybe backtracking to one of your comments earlier and where you started, finance and reporting.
Mm-hmm. Very sexy, as I like to say.
like, how do you think, like, did that help you anyway in transitioning into product, your learnings there and the exposure you had?
It made me realize that a lot of the processes that we did could be automated and things could be improved using technology. And so the team I was on, there was a gal that used to be on the team that moved to the tech team to help automate some of those processes. And I really looked up to her and I wanted to follow in her footsteps essentially. And so that's why I was like, oh, I'll do what
Mm,
she's doing.
that's so
But I
cool.
think it was a good transition. Yeah. And I was like, I can't do reporting forever.
I think like I always realize people that move like maybe out of tech into tech have a such unique insight into the inefficiencies, the pain points in a specific industry. Maybe similar
Mm-hmm.
to me, right? I started my career as a CPA tax consultant and then I did finance management consulting and saw a lot. And then once you become a builder and work as a product or engineer designer, like you can fix things and implement things and make things better. So I think having that origin is really helpful.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just makes things fun too, like building
Yeah.
things and launching them.
I actually had some friends that I spoke to, and they were like engineers at Google, they've been there for a long time, and they actually gave feedback that they wish they started their career in like as a lawyer or an accountant or in a different industry to learn that industry well before moving into tech to try to fix things. So it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
My father-in-law always says you should always know accounting. And I always, so I've been with my husband since college, and I always was like, Lon, I hate accounting. And now I'm like, damn, I should know accounting a lot better. He was right.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that background. Definitely very incredible experiences, and we're excited to dive into and unpack some of those topics. But maybe the first topic I want to start on, and maybe a bit selfishly, is about Austin. I know you've lived there for a while, since 2015, you mentioned, so 9 years, approaching 10 years in Austin. I'm sure you've seen a lot in the growth of Austin and how it's changed in the last 10 years. Maybe talking specifically on tech and startups, like what have you observed? What makes Austin one of the top five tech hubs in the US?
Yeah. It's interesting because when we first moved here, Austin was so different in a lot of ways. Like, I wish we would have bought a house when we first moved here. That's like one of the many things I
Mm,
would have go back in time and change. However, I digress. As far as like the tech and really like the scene of Austin, I think Austin is so unique in the sense that there's so many young people here. And so I think what's interesting is you get this very vibrant energy of the city. And when we first moved here, it was so easy to make friends. Like you would go to a meetup, you would even go out, go to a concert, and you would just like literally make friends. Like we made friends so easily when we first moved here. And we moved from Omaha, which was also a lovely place to live, but just like a different vibe. I felt like Omaha was great for where I was at right after college, but we didn't want to have kids right away. We weren't ready to buy a house. We
mm,
wanted just a different lifestyle. And I think Omaha really could offer us in some ways. And so Austin was unique because it just has this energy. Like you go to a
mm.
concert and it's just like the artist will say, Austin's my favorite place to visit because the crowd energy and you can just like feel it. And a lot of people feel that. So a
Nice.
lot of people move here. And the biggest changes that I think I've seen in Austin is the the ability to network has just changed. It doesn't feel like I used to be part of this group, just as an
Mm,
example, called Young Women's Alliance. Wonderful group. It was so easy to like meet friends and network because logistically, you could just get downtown, you could get to the meetings, it was very easy. Now it's like, oh my God, I got to sit in traffic for like an hour
oh, wow.
because it takes forever to get places. Like just the logistics of life as the
Mm,
city has grown has made, in my opinion, networking and the logistics of life just more difficult. And I know some of that is like my own personal moved a little further away, have a kid, like just life gets a little more complicated. But Austin's also unique because we have so many startups here. We have startup crawls, we have awesome accelerators, we have tons of co working spaces, we have South by Southwest. Like people just gravitate to Austin because of the electricity of the city, I think.
I love it. And the barbecue, right?
Yeah, if you want heartburn.
Yeah, I remember waiting in line, I think 2, 3 hours to go to one of those tourist traps and barbecue spot in Austin, but that's really cool. Maybe on that note, the traffic part, I find that really interesting. And I think deeply about New York and San Francisco as well and comparing the two hubs. And one thing that I love about New York over San Francisco is that like convenience to get around, not needing a car, just hop on a subway and or just within a block, like everything's around you. So I think like what you mentioned, how there's been more traffic in Austin has really resonated. I think San Francisco, you have to get Ubers everywhere. It's very different.
Hmm. Yeah, you have to have a car here. Like, you really can't. It'd be really hard not to have a car here.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Maybe you're just double clicking on the startups coming out of Austin or, you know, the accelerator programs. Have you kind of seen any interesting startups come out of Austin or some of your favorite ones or any interesting accelerator programs that have just been really rich for startups and founders?
Yeah. So, my husband is part of EO, which stands for Entrepreneurship or Entrepreneurs Organization, excuse me. It's a global organization. And in Austin, we're unique because the EO Austin chapter has an accelerator program. And the accelerator program is partnered with UT. So that is a super cool program because the entrepreneurs in that group get to partner with UT and then get to partner with EO members. So to be an EO, you have to have a certain threshold of revenue. And so they're like basically validated entrepreneurs that then these accelerator participants get to learn from, which is really cool. I think that's, in my opinion, one of the best in the city.
I love how they've kind of set up the whole ecosystem and infrastructure to onboard from college, university
Yeah,
to this
exactly.
accelerator, and that's a pretty smooth onboarding process.
Mhm.
Really cool. I love hearing how cities and hubs set up the innovation ecosystem for
Mhm.
success and the different players and, you know, whether that's government, the local city or like different programs. And I think that's what makes a really successful tech hub in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's a team sport. Awesome. Maybe let's take a pivot to your AI experience. I know it's a hot topic right now over the last year or two, and I know you have like amazing technical background. You were a technical PM at Amazon and you got your hands dirty on all things API. So I think AI is an amazing topic to talk to you about, particularly the startup you're at now. Could you maybe share a bit more about the startup and what it focuses on?
Yeah, so AI Front Desk, we build AI agents, and today we're primarily focused in the fitness and franchise space. So our founder, Brian Holmes, comes from the fitness and franchise world. He previously has had multiple franchises, worked multiple brands, like owned locations. Right now, him and his wife own Club Pilates studios. And he also started a large marketing agency. I think it's the largest marketing agency for franchise brands. They were on like the Inc. top 100 last year. So,
Wow.
yeah, so he really has a deep background in franchising and fitness. He saw that his front desk staff in particular, it was just really hard to train her and retain these front desk staff. So he thought, AI is becoming quite the thing. He's the type of person that gets like super obsessed with topics, and he got really obsessed with AI, which is awesome.
Nice.
He was like, I can use AI to help solve this problem of hiring, training, and retaining. So
Hmm.
that's really where the whole AI agent concept came from. And he was starting to think about and build agents before they were even called agents. Like, he called
Yeah.
them ATMs, autonomous team members, before agents was
I
really
love it.
even coined. Yeah, he was pioneering the whole AI agent path before it was a thing, which was really cool. So we have agents live in over 100 locations. And
Wow.
so our agents primarily do today the sales cadence. So if someone is interested in one of the fitness concepts, our agent will text them. And yeah, the agent will text and try to get them booked into a class. And our roadmap really looks like building out for additional workflows within the sales
Mm,
process, customer service, like if someone cancels their membership, like the possibilities are truly endless.
wow.
So that's kind of where we're at right now.
We can spend an hour on this topic.
Yeah.
A lot of things that I just learned for the first time as well. I didn't know it was these were the projects that Front Desk was getting into, but I get the name now. I get why it's called Front Desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's very clear now. Very cool. It's interesting to see a lot of these initial use cases in AI agents and AI focus on customer support and sales. I think you probably saw like Klarna halve their sales team or customer support team using AI agents to drive that. And it seems like there's a lot of cost savings and time saving efficiencies with it. I guess what have you seen like some of the pros and cons of using AI agents or considerations as you've kind of built some of these new products?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the biggest benefit that we're seeing is just the efficiency and the accuracy. So these AI agents are able to execute the sales cadence. And a lot of times these brands have very defined, like you
Mm,
should contact the lead at day one, three, etc. So typically the sales cadence when we dig into it isn't actually being executed according to that definition. And so agents can execute that and they can personalize the experience for the individual they're talking to. And the and one of the biggest benefits, in my opinion, as well, is the front desk staff. Like you still need someone to like check in the members to the fitness location, welcome them. They don't want to be sitting there typing text to leads, calling leads. Like they want to be engaging with members. They want to be selling memberships, talking to people, like creating that better customer experience rather than just doing these repetitive tasks that they don't necessarily want to do nor were hired to do. Like they were hired to be fitness,
mm,
customer service, customer facing. So
that's
some of the
interesting.
challenges, yeah. Some of the challenges though I think with AI, and people forget this, is like AI isn't perfect and AI models need to be correctly prompted and they need to have guardrails. So when you're creating an agent, you really have to give it exact prompting so that it stays within those guardrails. So you don't want the agent to be giving unsolicited fitness advice
Mm,
or making up class times. You have to be very, very strict on those guardrails and then you have to monitor. And I think that's where people are getting it wrong today in the AI space is they're not thinking about those guardrails and those safety precautions almost. And then they're not monitoring. They're just putting it out and they're not actually seeing what is the impact and how do they continuously improve those agents, which is something that we take very seriously and have a lot of processes and products built
yeah.
around.
Well, I couldn't agree more. A big plus one to, I guess, like customer service, just being customer facing and not doing the grunt work. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel the same with a lot of my background in accounting, bookkeeping, tax. I actually have a vision, I think, over the next 10 years. Let's say all the manual work is automated. How you differentiate is like relationships and, how you communicate, like the human side. That can't be replaced.
Yeah.
Well, today in 2024, it can't. Maybe one day, but like,
Yeah. 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 I like to say, I don't think there's always going to be jobs. Like people are always like, oh, AI is
yeah,
going to take all of our jobs. AI is not going to take all of our jobs. I think it's going to make us more efficient, happier, because we're going to have more time to do the things that we love with the people that we love. And I think too, like there's always going to be, to your point, you have to create those relationships and there's going to be jobs that AI just isn't going to do. Like you're not going to have an AI dentist. You're not going to have an AI eye doctor. Like that's not anytime soon, at least. At
yeah,
least I
yeah.
hope not.
How have you found like focusing on a specific vertical like fitness and health? And I find this topic very interesting, like how you have some companies and products where it's building like very horizontal versus very vertical. And I guess it sounds like AI front desk is very focused on specific vertical today. Have you thought about some pros and cons or the strategy with that? I'm sure a lot of the things you're building now can apply to other verticals in other spaces as well. It would be interesting just to jam on this a little bit.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic because a lot of our stuff could be rebuilt or reused and not with a lot of complexity or engineering time. But I think what's interesting from a sales perspective is we're going deep into the fitness and franchise space because that's where Brian's background is. And Beth, who's also on our team, she's head of customer success. She is like a pro in the CRM that we work with and has worked with fitness brands for years. Like they're just experts in the field. And when they talk to customers, they just resonate with them because they know the industry so well. So that's really why we've gone that way. But that's not to say like we couldn't build for other industries. But I think when we're talking about like guardrails, it's just like you've got to have those guardrails and you've got to prompt the model using the right information. Otherwise, like there's tons of companies that have just general agent software, but they're very generalized. They don't have the guardrails. They don't have that personalization because they're not built for those particular use cases necessarily.
It's so cool how we're on the same page with so many topics. So I am actually in the same boat as you. I've been thinking deeply about this on building horizontal and vertical. And you see a lot, to your point, a lot of agents very horizontal. Like we'll upload some documents and you can search the document for anything, or like upload 50 documents and extracts key insights from each document. I think horizontal ones, you miss out on all the nuances of a specific vertical.
Mm-hmm.
And
True.
that's really where the value comes about. Like building what a sales tool or top of the funnel tool for accounting, finance, and tax is very different to fitness as well. So
Yeah.
it's different. Even the human side, I think sometimes with accounting, finance, and tax, it's you trust and credibility is also very important, right? Like those factors, and it's such a fun topic to talk about.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah. And we do a lot of training of the front desk staff too, because they've had these processes in place and we're changing them in a way. Like we're making their lives easier, but it's still a change. So we help with all the training and documentation and all the reporting. And so the way you train a front desk staff person at a fitness location is going to be different than how you train a CPA.
Yeah, love it. Very cool. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah.
We can talk about this for a long time, but I do want to take a
Yeah.
pivot on just the company we met at Amazon. You spent many years there after doing your MBA.
It felt like many, just 2.5.
Oh, really? 2.5? I thought it was a bit longer than that.
No,
But
no, just 2.5.
yeah, I think one thing I appreciate about Amazon and looking back is kind of how strong some of the product thinking and the product mechanisms they have in place. And I think that's why they do very well. Like for a company that has 100 different product lines and business lines, they have set mechanisms that kind of run every team somewhat like similar and similar processes. So I want to spend a bit of time on that. Maybe a fun question to start off with was like, any things you still keep from your Amazon days, like any learnings or best processes or just what has stuck to you? And I've got a few as well.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear yours as well. Yeah, I loved my time at Amazon, so don't get me wrong when I say like it felt like many years. I think there's just something about Amazon that moves very quickly, and there's always just a lot of work to be done. And I was there during the pandemic, which just felt extra intense. I think some of the biggest lessons, though, are just like working with good people. Like, when I think about the AWS Marketplace team, like that team was amazing. My manager, Chris Bandico, was absolutely incredible. I think I'm at where I'm at in my career and I'm the product manager and I think about products because of the way that he coached and mentored me. And so I just really have taken away that finding and working with and for good people can just be very transformational and not only like your career, but also your personal life. Like I just had a lot of satisfaction in that job because of him and because of my teammates.
Amazing. I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why we still talk today. I think you were super amazing during my time at Amazon. I'm very grateful to have you as a
Same,
friend.
yeah. Yes, I agree.
But maybe talking like tactically, are you still
Yeah.
using some of the, I guess, the concepts taught by Amazon, like the PRFAQ or? the writing culture or anything that has stuck with you with some of the principles, like product principles or things you learned?
Yeah, I'm curious how you're using the product principles too in a startup because it's so different. Like when I first joined AI Front Desk, I wrote a PRFAQ just to get the team on the same page of what our product vision is. I just wanted to have something written down so we all could kind of come around the table. We're a globally distributed team. So that's why I use the air quotes. So yeah, I still use like the principles of like it's good to write things out, it's good to think things through, but startups are just different. Like you just have to move faster, things change, and so to have a lot of cycles working on a paper just isn't, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, to say, to put it one way. So
Yeah.
I think writing's still super important, and like more so clearly articulating your idea, especially to your engineering counterparts. I think that's
Yeah.
my biggest
I
takeaway,
love
and
it.
really understanding like what they're building.
Mm.
I'm curious, like for you and your startup journey, like how are you using the Amazon principles of
I
writing?
was going to say, actually, before diving into that, could you actually, for the
Yeah,
listeners that don't know, like what
sure.
is a PRFAQ?
Yeah. Press release and frequently asked questions. So the first page is a press release that just describes the product, like why customers should be interested, how it works, a quote. Like there's a whole format.
Yeah.
Ask Perplexity to give you the outline. And then there's a bunch of FAQs. It's a max of like 6 pages. So there's like a whole format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I've read a few of your PRFAQs and it was always very inspirational. I think you were a great writer for
Same.
sure.
I owe Chris for that because I was not when I started at Amazon. And yeah, he was very patient with me.
Very cool. Maybe to answer your question on some principles that I still live by and follow, I think Amazon, the one-way, two-way door decisions
Mm,
is something that I brought into Gusto a bit and, how I read my teams. Just things that, was able to just move quick and able to maybe go back and fix and things that were one-way doors. I think having that framework was very helpful in like a startup where sometimes you have to make some quick decisions. So that was really, really helpful. I don't know, yeah, during my time at Amazon, a takeaway was just customer obsession. Like they say it a lot and it's obviously part of the mission statement, but I don't think I've seen many companies that live customer obsession like
yeah.
Amazon. In all spectrums of in the building tech products and then even ourselves as customers with Amazon, I think they take it to a whole different level. And that long-term thinking is something that stuck with me, like thinking long-term. So I think those are some principles I kind of live by.
Yeah. And that's for action one too. I don't know about you, but I feel that in a startup, like you see something, you just have to like move on it and know that it might not be perfect, but you've got to take action.
Yeah, yeah. I've applied like a light version of the meeting culture at Gusto.
Yeah.
I think I've grown to appreciate that a bit more of instead of having decks to present every hour, create a doc and maybe instead of half an hour reading time, 15 minutes reading time and have a discussion on that. I think that was really good. And I do remember at Amazon, every doc, there was like a very clear recommendation and next steps. Like it was like, this is, or like hotly debated topics. Like I've used that before as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's bringing
I
me back
forgot about
memories.
that. Uh-huh. Yeah. And the tenants. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did use the tenants too. I think it's interesting. Like now after leaving Amazon, like you hear all these other tech companies have kind of followed how Amazon has built products and some of their principles. So I find it very interesting how the product culture at Amazon's pretty strong.
Very strong. Yeah. I feel very lucky to have been a product manager there.
Yeah, yeah, learned a lot. Awesome. Like we do want to pivot to another topic, and I think this is a really cool topic that many listeners can resonate, and that it's also okay to take a career break, right? I think you did that
Mm-hmm.
after Amazon. Can you share a bit more about your amazing experiences? What did you do on this career break?
Yes. Yeah. Happy to chat about it. It was so wonderful. Unsolicited advice for anyone thinking about it, do it. Like if
Mm,
you can, take a career break. For my husband and I, so my husband's an entrepreneur. He exited his last company and was in between that and buying his next company. He buys businesses. He's a self-funded search funder. And so we were like, he was completely burnt out. I was burnt
Mm,
out.
mm.
We're like, we just need to take a break. And so we're like, we don't know for how long, but we sat down. Well, what started it is our friend Hugo did something similar with his family. And I was out for
Nice.
dinner with this group of entrepreneurs, and Hugo's an entrepreneur. And I was like, oh man, I would just like love to take time off. Just like, you know, Ben's left his last company. He's like, just do it. And he told me about him and his wife Maya and their family doing this. I came home, I'm like, Ben, we should just travel for a few months. And he was like, what? Like, I distinctly remember him sitting on the couch being like, what? I was like,
Nice.
yeah, we should do it. And we just like sat and we planned out our bucket list of trips. Like, where would we travel if we could? And so we just made a plan. We started in Argentina. We were there for 3 weeks and then we'd fly back because we have a house and a dog. So we're like, we don't want to leave for like 6 months and miss out on a bunch of stuff and miss our dog. We have a cat too, but I don't think we like would miss him near as much. um, but yeah, so we did that for like 9 months. We went
Amazing.
to I think it was like 8 countries, and we traveled with friends. We met up with Ben's parents. We also did trips domestically. Like we went rafting in Oregon, which I would have never imagined myself doing, but I loved it. We took my dad for his 60th birthday,
Amazing.
yeah, on a trip. So, yeah, just lots of wonderful memories. And looking back, we had 9 months where we weren't making money and spending a lot of money, but it was so worth it. Like, so worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, thinking long term.
Yeah.
I was super inspiring. I couldn't agree more. Sometimes like overthinking can just be
Hmm.
necessary in this situation, and I guess a
Yeah,
career is very long term, right? It's a marathon and not a sprint, and
exactly.
you're probably over 20, 30 years going to be a lot better off doing this
Yes.
than grinding
Yes.
away. I also
Life is
love,
short.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And work's not everything.
Not everything. No.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned you sat on the couch and you picked some destinations and you kind of applied the working backwards playbook, right? You're like, how do I get there? And I was like, really, really cool.
And then how do you utilize your points? Like we had all these points saved up. So, yeah.
Yeah, a product manager planning a holiday. How fun.
My gosh, I had like spreadsheets. My husband was like, well, here's about how much money we can spend. So I had like this budget, this Excel
Yeah.
sheet, and I would like track everything. And Airbnb experiences were like, amazing. And it was
And
before we had our son. So it's like we had so much
beautiful,
freedom.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
any advice on like any favorite destinations you went to? You know, for the listeners.
Argentina was incredible. Absolutely
Wow.
incredible. And it was very inexpensive as well. Just like great food, great wine. We did come back. I mean, me personally, I won't speak for my husband. I was probably a good 5 to 7 pounds heavier because of
Yeah.
all the wine and steak we ate,
Nice.
but it was worth every pound. It was
Yeah.
wonderful. Great
Incredible.
people, good hiking. It was really great.
That's on my bucket list, so I should check out Argentina soon.
Make it happen. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Amazing, Murphy. I know we're running at time now, so with the end of our episode, we like to close off with the Fast Five, which is 5 quick questions to get to know Murphy. Are you ready? Let's do it. Okay, my favorite one, obviously as his PM, is what's your favorite product and why? It can be digital, hardware, software.
Yeah. My favorite product right now, I feel like I change my mind all the time,
Yeah,
is Perplexity. Best search engine. It just makes life so easy. I use it every day, multiple times a day.
me too. Me
Yeah,
too. Why
hands
do you
down my favorite product right now.
why do you think you choose Perplexity over the others?
I think because I like that it summarizes, like Google, you kind of have to like go through things, which I mean, we've been doing for how many years and it's mindless, but I like that it just summarizes it and then you can get the sources.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
Why do you like it?
The UX is incredible. I think
Hmm.
the follow-up questions is very smart, allowing you to just deep dive, and I think someone that's, I think both of us are just very curious people. So it's just, I
Yeah.
go down on a rabbit hole on just random
I just
topics.
keep asking it questions.
Yeah, it's in all honesty, being starting something new in 2024 with Perplexity or all these AI tools is incredible. Like I have a companion, a friend next to me. I probably saved a lot of time and money through these AI tools. Like instead of calling a lawyer, I'm actually just asking, getting there first, educated on a topic that I'm
Yeah.
not sure on, and then I can go into conversations with lawyers a lot more prepared.
Same time. Yeah.
And being more tactical instead of like, tell me about this law. Like I'll be asking more precise questions. So I think Perplexity has been great for that. Also, next one is if someone wanted to kind of follow your pathway and your journey, doing an MBA, moving to products, transitioning from, I guess, reporting and finance is start of your career, any advice you would give?
I would think that I would tell someone it's okay to switch jobs. Like if you look at my resume, like I've moved around quite a bit compared to my dad, who's been in the same company for 20 plus years. I think our generation is just different from our parents' generation, and not for worse or any better. It's just kind of the way that tech is. And I think not being afraid to move to other opportunities, knowing that like you're going for something better that ultimately will make you a better product manager, make you a better human, and working with good people, as we talked about earlier. So just being not afraid to move, like it's okay.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've had, what, 4 career changes in 12, 13 years, so I'm a big testament on that. And for me, it's also okay to not know what's next, right? It's like you don't need to have everything
Yeah.
solved out for the next 10, 20 years, which I
Um,
was probably guilty of when I was 18. I'm like, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And
yeah,
then, that has really changed as I got older.
yeah. But we're in an industry too where like you almost have to change. Like we're not doctors. Like we didn't go to med school and we're not going to be practicing medicine in this particular field for the next 30 years. It's
Yeah.
just like a different industry.
Yeah. And I feel like the next decade is going to move even faster, right? It's going to
Yeah,
be crazy, but we're ready for it.
yeah,
Actually,
exactly.
that's a good segue. The next question is like thinking ahead and thinking about the future. What are you most excited about in product, in tech, or in your areas of specialties?
I'm obviously AI agents, I think are just going to be, we're just starting to see adoption. And I think with Salesforce coming out that they're having Agent Force, HubSpot also has agents. I think the world of agents is going to be extremely transformative, and we're just at the peak of the iceberg. So I'm super excited about that.
I mean,
It's just going to be totally transformative to how we work and really how we live.
yeah, for us to maybe spend more time with loved ones and doing things that we love instead of all the manual repetitive stuff like you mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
What's your thoughts on that? I know a lot of the agent, I'm just quick double clicking on that one. I know a lot of the agents has been like single play experience right now, but there has been talks on like multi agents and agents working together and collaborating. That sounds like a world where it sounds like a whole party.
Yeah, we call it like an agent family, is
An
how we
agent
talk
family.
about it.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. You've got like the sister and the cousin. We talk about it as
Oh,
like
no
a
way.
family.
Well,
Yeah.
you should trademark that. I've never heard of that term.
Yeah. Because they like work together, but they're not necessarily like the same.
Like, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's the future?
Yes. Especially because agents, if you have agents that integrate in the existing systems and the systems work together, I mean, think about it. You could have agents in your VoIP system, like your voice over IP. You could have agents in your CRM. You could have agents in your any system, your
Yeah.
accounting system. Like you could have agents and they're all working together in a family unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
that's the history, the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
interesting world to think about, but I can't wait for
Yeah.
that. Awesome. Well, last final question. I love this question, but it's a bit deep. But what's your favorite quote or mantra you live by?
A long time ago, I heard a speaker say that her mantra was be brave. And that just has really resonated with me on not being scared of what the future holds, not being ashamed of the past, like just being brave and like who you are, what you want in life. And my son's name is Archie. He's named after his great great grandfather. And Archie means truly brave.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And thank you for that, Murphy. And I know you live by that. I've seen it firsthand. You're truly a brave soul. And I mean, I was just so impressed during my time working with you. I was like, wow, she's amazing. She's
Thank you, David.
stands up for herself. She's strong. She's an amazing leader. Definitely anyone would be lucky enough to work with you. But I guess on that note, I think you mentioned you are hiring, right?
Yes, yes, we are. We're hiring a director of engineering. So if anyone is looking or anyone knows anyone that's looking to help with our engineering, we have an amazing engineering team. We're just looking for someone to help with the leadership aspect of that. Because I'm doing that today. I'm doing
Yeah.
product and
Oh,
engineering,
wow.
and I would love some help on the engineering side.
Yeah. Building the future AI agent family. Really cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Murphy. I know we're at time now. That was incredible. I hope you had a lot of fun. And I know the
Yeah, it
listeners
was
will
great.
learn a lot and get a lot of amazing insights. So I deeply appreciate your time and also just very, very grateful for our friendship.
Yeah, I agree. I'm grateful for you, David, and you've just blown me away with what you've built and what you've done over the last few years. Like your growth has been
Thank you.
incredible. So, yeah, very
Thank you.
inspiring.
Thank you. All right, Murphy, I'll let you go.
Yeah,
We'll talk soon.
thanks.
Thank you.
Chat soon.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you for listening to another serving of Tech to Table Talks. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you found the podcast valuable and entertaining, please support us by subscribing to our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube channels. Please also give us a rating or leave a review to help us reach more listeners. Until next time, we'll see you in the next episode and also at a table near you.